Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shikha and I'm a legal intern at Lexis & Company. I am a law student from UPES Dehradun. In today's video, we will talk about the doctrine of ultra-vires under the company's law. But before starting the video, there's a small disclaimer that this video does not solicit any kind of promotion or advertisement as per the guidelines of Bar Council of India, and the only purpose for which the video is made is educational purpose. So let's begin with the video now. The memorandum of a company states the scope, the aim, the objective, the field of operation of the company. It is like a constitution to the company. All the activities and the conduct of the company and its business shall be within the scope of the memorandum itself. Further, also the incidental activities which are required for the fulfillment of the objective which are laid under the memorandum can be taken up by the company. But all such act and conduct which falls outside the scope and ambit of the memorandum of the company are said to be ultra vires the company, which simply means that it is outside the scope of the memorandum of the company. This doctrine basically protects the interest of the company's investors or the creditors whose funds are utilized by the company in the fulfillment of its business operation. It ensures that the directors of the company are not misusing the funds which are received by the creditor or the investors, and it are solely used for the purpose of fulfilling the objective which are mentioned in the memorandum itself, and are not conducting any activities and utilizing the funds in other manner which are not led under the memorandum. So it basically protects the interest of the investors or the investors of the company. In the case of Ashbury Railways versus Riche, this doctrine was propounded. In this case, the House of Lords said that all those activities which are ultra vires the memorandum cannot be ratified even when the shareholders of the company pass a resolution in favor of such activities. Anyhow, these activities which are outside the scope of the memorandum cannot be legalized by any act of the shareholders. Also, in this case, the basic issue was related to the generic contract. The plaintiff here stated that the contract which was made for building of the railway tracks with the company was within the scope of the word which was generic contract. But the court here said that the generic contract was basically related to all the mechanical contracts, and the generic term was to be interpreted in terms of the mechanical contract itself. So in this case, the doctrine of ultra vires was basically propounded for the first time by the House of Lords. There are basically 4 types of act which can be classified as ultra vires. The first one is the act which are ultra vires to the Company Act itself. There can be various activities or objectives which are laid under the memorandum of the company, but it cannot be assumed that all these activities are intra vires the Company Act itself. There are many activities which can be ultra vires the company Act and which are led under the memorandum of company. So these act cannot be legalized because it is primarily against or ultra vires the Company Act itself. The second one is the act which are ultra vires to the memorandum of the company. All those acts are void ab initio because they are ultra vires to the memorandum of the company itself or the objective which are laid under the memorandum of the companies. Suppose there is an contract, a part of which is ultra vires but a part of which is intra vires the memorandum. So all those part which are ultra vires the company, they can be split from the contract, and the part which is intra vires shall be enforced by the company. In case the parts which are ultra vires and intra vires cannot be separated, then the contract as a whole will be non-enforceable. The third one is the act which are ultra vires the articles of company but are intra vires the memorandum. These act can be then by the dissolution of the shareholder can be legalized. The next one is the act which are ultra vires the directors but are intra vires the memorandum. These act can also be legalized when the resolution is passed in the company. Now we will discuss what are the exceptions to this doctrine of ultra vires. The first exception includes all those acts which are irregularly conducted but are intra vires the company. Then these can be ratified by the shareholders of the company. The second includes the act which are outside these authority of the directors but are intra vires the company. Then these can also be ratified by the company's shareholders. Even though the Company Act refers to certain activities to be within the authority of the company, they may be regarded to be ultra vires when are not explicitly mentioned in the memorandum of the company. Now let's discuss what are the effects of an ultra vires activity. All such activities are null ab initio, which means that they are null and void from the beginning itself. So no one can bring suit or claim for damages against such acts. Secondly, the ultra vires act cannot be converted into an intra vires act by the principle of estoppel or ratification. Thirdly, any person who sees or there is possibility that the company is going to commit any kind of activities which are ultra vires, then can approach the court for the injunction on such activities by the company. Thirdly, the personal liability of the directors. When the funds of the company are invested or utilized for any purpose or objective which are not mentioned in the memorandum of the company, then the directors can be held personally responsible in such cases. So this was the doctrine of ultra vires under the company's law. If you have any doubt or if you have any feedback, please write it down in the comment section below. Thank you so much.